Okay, started. So there is an article in Forbes magazine that Mumbai Airport is sold to one of the biggest industrialists of India, and it is one of the deals, or I would say privatization move by government of India. And likewise, it is a well-known concept all around the world right now. I'll show you example of Australia as well, what is happening there. Okay, and why am I showing you is that the way we invest, or the concepts we used to do business with, those are more defined, right? And things which are coming in common practice, it's quite a little bit different. So first of all, I went to this website Forbes.com, and here I got this article: India's second richest man is now the country's largest airport operator. Okay, so if you have not been to Mumbai airport, it's one of the biggest airport of the world, busiest also, correct? And okay, so let me read out this news for the sake of understanding how investment is done by big shareholders or big investors. This is one of the classic example. And in context of Nepal as well, I don't know whether budget will be implemented or whether it will be accepted by new government also. But if that budget would be held true, then according to budget, a lot of shares of NTC held by government is going to be sold in our country as well, correct? So these kind of news is something which is going to be more popular, and governments are looking into more Singaporean based investment. Okay, so let me read it out, and please let me know if you have any questions or anything you want to discuss. Okay. Okay. So billionaire Gautam Adani's airport holdings AAHL took control this week of Mumbai Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport, the second busiest airport in the country, after completing all formalities and obtaining necessary approvals. AAHL means Company of Adani. AAHL had signed a deal with Hyderabad-based CVK Group in August 2020 to acquire 50.5% stake. Please note that the stake is more than 50%. That means that from next time, whatever the decision is going to be taken in major decision, I would say, major decision is going to be taken in Mumbai airport, it is going to be taken by this group AAHL, because they are majority shareholders that had built and was operating the Mumbai airport until now. AAHL acquired another 23% stake in February this year for 16.85 billion rupees from the two foreign partners in the company, Airport Company of South Africa and Bidvest, taking its stake up to 74%. The government-owned Airports Authority of India holds the remaining 20%. Now, you can see government has held it around 26% in its airport only. And you might ask me, so government might sell off all the stakes, but usually they don't do it, because little bit of conservatism is there with the government as well. To be totally free and risk-free, I think it takes a lot of guts, and it should be like Singaporean government. Okay, AAHL is wholly owned subsidiary of Gujarat headquartered Adani Enterprise, which has interest in various areas including mining. They have diversified their portfolio. See, they have in mining sectors as well, solar manufacturing as well, right? In energy sector, roads, infrastructure, airport services, and data centers. So they are investing. Their group is investing in each and every dots and nooks and corners of the country. Correct. So we can see the tweet of person. Okay. So this was one of the big news, right? This is the way big investors are investing nowadays, right? This is one of the example. And I have also seen one news regarding Sydney's airport, right? Similar news. You can see Sydney airport rejects 17 million billion takeover bid from IFM-led consortium. Now, Sydney government of Australia also wants to sell off shares of Sydney airport, and they are accepting bids from lot of international bidders as well and local bidders as well. And recently they have turned down one bid of $17 billion. So this is one of an example. I hope that they will get bigger bids in coming days. So if you have any question regarding this article, please let me know. India's second richest man is now the country's largest airport operator. Okay, if not, then I will go into another article. Okay, so no confusions. Shall I move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Arsena. Okay, so let me show you another one particular news. Okay. Now, okay, so this is another example. Okay, this is another classic example and big news for the market as well. See, Nobel Bank ले पनि खोल्यो ब्रोकर कम्पनी, नयाँ ब्रोकर लाइसेन्स खुल्ने हल्लापछि कम्पनी खोल्ने बढी. Now, what does that mean? Right now, there are 59 stockbrokers in the country, and since more stockbrokers are coming in the market, there are chances that a lot of new investors are going to come, right? If there are shops, then obviously they will search for customers, isn't it? So the customer base is going to increase in country. Financial literacy is definitely going to increase, and from 59 brokers, NMB Bank has already started its brokerage, and Nobel is also going to start. That means that all the other commercial banks are also going to follow. That means 27 new brokerage. That means that market will definitely become more transparent of our country. Correct. So this is good news for investor. Although there are criticisms that banks should not be allowed to go into business of brokerage. Correct. So apart from that, this is one big news. Okay. So I think we are done with the news for today. Okay, so anything you needs to be discussed, let me know. Okay. So, hi Praveen, are you ready for today's revision?
आजको कि अस्तिको गुड मर्निङ सर
भन्नाले अस्तिको चाहिँ आज रिभाइज गर्ने.
हजुर हजुर
तपाईले रिभिजन गर्नु भएको छैन नि है, तपाईको टर्न जस्तो लागेको छ मलाई.
हजुर
ए ओके ओके. So I'll do the attendance, okay, and then I'll hand over the floor to you. Okay, Praveen.
हुन्छ हुन्छ हस्
Okay.
आज बिदा हुनुपर्ने यार.
And everyone, I have decided on the big assignment which I'm going to give you for this session. सबैजनालाई please be informed about it अहिलेदेखि, because you need certain preparations to do that assignment. अहिले this is the month of July हैन. जुलाई भनेपछि तपाईहरुको क्लास कहिले एन्ड हुन्छ? लगभग let me see the attendance sheet. त्यहाँबाट थाहा हुन्छ. Okay, September तिर सकिन्छ है. September भनेपछि we have August, September, 2 months. September, starting of September, so we have around 1 month. So within 2 weeks, I'm going to float your big assignment, and that assignment would be to invest anywhere, may it be share market or real estate or somewhere जहाँ भयो नि फाइनान्स हामीले जे पढाएको छ त्यो पढे अनुसारले रेशियोजहरु निकालेर अनि you have to invest in market, and your 1 month of experience शेयर गर्नु पर्यो है. पैसा कसले रिटर्न बढी बढाउँछ, that is one marking criteria, number 1. Number 2 marking criteria would be, if you have not made money also, what is the realization you have made. For example, you lost some money, right? And you concluded like, yeah, because of this investment, I lost this. If I had invested here, then it would have been better. So likewise, And you might say that, sir, okay, you are telling investment, so what shall we do? Number one preference is, of course, share market, number one. And um, you don't need big amount of money. 1000 rupees ले गरे नि भयो तपाईको पोर्टफोलियो पुरै 1000 rupees ले गरे नि भयो 10000 ले गरे नि भयो 1 lakh ले गरे नि भयो. It doesn't matter how much money you use, it matters what return of investment you have made. Okay, so अहिले त पोइन्टमा पनि कारोबार गर्न मिल्छ, राइट? You can put that 1000 FD मा राखिने भयो 1 month लाई, जे गरिनु भयो according to you. You can diversify your portfolio, right? So I advise 10,000 would be minimum, but if not, you can do with 1,000 also. And if there are some of the ambitious students, they can do with 20,000, 30,000. Portfolio amount को flexibility is completely up to you. अब जसको डिम्याट एकाउन्ट छैन सबैले खोल्नु होला, इट्स कम्पलसरी है. अनि सर मेरो डिम्याट एकाउन्टै थिएन अनि मैले गरिने असाइनमेन्ट भनेर मिल्दैन. द्याट इज अ ग्रान्ड असाइनमेन्ट. आई एम गिभिङ यु 2 weeks टु प्रिपेयर फर द्याट असाइनमेन्ट. अनि तपाईको त्यो असाइनमेन्ट चाहिँ अहिले म माग्दिनँ. कहिले माग्ने भन्दाखेरि तपाईको सेमेस्टर सकेपछि एट द एन्डमा चाहिँ दिने एउटा असाइनमेन्ट हो. एन्ड यु हेभ टु इन्कल्केट अल द लर्निङ्स फ्रम च्याप्टर 1 टु च्याप्टर 7. फर एक्जाम्पल बेटा निकाल्नु पर्यो मार्केटको, फर एक्जाम्पल रिटर्न अन इक्विटी निकाल्नु पर्यो रेसियो एनालाइसिसबाट है. सो साउन्ड इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्न हामीले यो पढिरहेको छ, जति यो फाइनेन्स क्लास पढेकै हाम्रो फाइनेन्स बढाउन लाग्यो. एक्ज्याक्टली राइट. So to do that, okay, so please start to prepare अहिलेदेखि है. Okay, so that would be our grand assignment, and that was the announcement which I was about to make. And if you have any confusion, please let me know. Please let the questions be floating in coming week. Okay, so only off guard नहोस् भनेर मैले अहिलेदेखि डिक्लेयर गरेको. Yes, Praveen?
So share trading को मात्र हो?
होइन, तपाईसँग फर एक्जाम्पल 10,000 रुपिज छ भने सेयर ट्रेडिङ वुड बी वान मेजर पार्ट. एफडीमा हालिने भयो 1 monthलाई है, त्यो मन्थली एफडी पनि भन्छ. और मन्थली एफडी भन्दा नि सेभिङ एकाउन्टहरुमा रिस्क फ्री रिटर्न निकाल्नलाई त्यहाँ ब्याङ्कमा हालिने भयो है. अनि त्यसको प्रुफ अफ उ चाहिँ पठाउनु पर्छ, जस्तै ब्याङ्कमा हालेको डेट पठाउनु पर्यो हैन. सो दैट तपाईले यसरी गर्नु भएको थियो भनेर प्रुफ हुनु पर्यो. एफडीमा गरिने भयो. अब रियल इस्टेटमा त आई डोन्ट थिंक यु क्यान इन्भेस्ट विथ स्मल मनी. तर इफ तपाईको पोर्टफोलियो चाहिँ अराउन्ड 1 lakh 2 lakh जस्तो छ भने मेबी रियल इस्टेटमा पनि गर्दा हुन्छ है. अलि रियल इस्टेट त अलि ठुलो स्केल हुन्छ होला. सो यु क्यान डु एनीवेयर. गोल्ड गरे भयो, सिल्भरमा इन्भेस्ट गरे भयो, सिल्भर कोइन्सहरु किन्ने हैन. अनि सिल्भर कोइन किनेर अनि सर सिल्भर कोइन यसरी किनेको थिए, दिस इज द बिल अनि टुडेज प्राइस इज दिस, सो माई कट अफ डेट इज दिस. म कट अफ डेट पनि दिम्ला तपाईहरुलाई है, त्यो सेप्टेम्बरको एन्डमा हुन्छ. सो सिल्भरमा इन्भेस्ट गर्दा भयो, गोल्डमा इन्भेस्ट गर्दा भयो, गोल्डको प्राइस पनि बढिरा हुन्छ राइट. सो यु क्यान इन्भेस्ट एनीवेयर. यु क्यान गिभ मनी टु, अब त्यो चाहिँ गर्न मिलेन. फर्मल साथीहरुलाई दिएर सर यति पर्सेन्टले दिन्छु भनेको छ, त्यो चाहिँ गर्न मिल्दैन. बिकज अब त्यो भयो नि फेरि अब कसैले फेरि यसरी गरेर रिटर्न बढी निकाल्नलाई गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ हैन. सो यस प्रवीण, you can like कसरी बढाउने पैसा भनेर, how to increase the value of that money, you have to think about it for a whole month. You have time of whole month right. I'll float the assignment you starting of August मा. अनि रिजल्ट्स चाहिँ तपाईहरुले सेमेस्टर सकिएपछि तपाईहरुको सेमेस्टर सकिएपछि चाहिँ रिपोर्टहरु बनाएर दिनु होला. तर अब्जर्भेसन टेस्ट पिरियड इज 1 month. ओके. And also I'll give you hints on what are the things you must see. Like your ratios चाहिँ minimum हेर्नु होला. अरु चाहिँ you have to calculate everything we have learned, like what is needed, not like everything but what is relevant. Okay. Okay, so 21st July. Okay, so let me start attendance. Alex, Vista. Alex absent. Archana?
Present, sir.
Present. Ashish,
Yes, sir.
present. Dipesh, Dipesh, present. Ivan,
Present, sir.
present. Jeju, perfect. Merina, present. Ninju, present. Nishan, present. Ojasvi, present. Prakriti,
Present, sir.
Prakriti Banjare,
Present, sir.
okay, present. Prasamsa, present. Praveen, present. Raman, present. Ratnaprabha, present. Revision, Revision Maharjan, Revision Maharjan, absent. Riti, okay, Revision present. Ritij,
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
Yes, sir.
okay, present. Rivaj, present. Ronim, present. Salina, Satyam, sorry, Satyam, present. Salina, Salina, Salina absent. Sarisma,
Yes, sir.
present. Shekhar,
Present, sir.
present. Smith, Smith, Smith Sakya, okay, present. Swarup Dogoda, Swarup Dogoda, Swarup absent. Unis,
Present,
Eunice,
sir.
sorry, Eunice, okay, present. Perfect. So I'll call the name of absentees. Please let me know if you are there. Alex Pista absent. Okay, Alex is present. The other absentees is Salina Gising Tamang absent. Salina is absent. And final, Swarup is absent. Okay, Swarup is present too. So only one absentee is today. We have 25 of us. Salina is absent. Okay. So Praveen, are you ready?
हेलो
Hello?
सु- सुनिरहेछ हजुर?
Yeah. अहिले आइरहेछ.
ए हुन्छ।
Okay.
एज युजुअल ए हुन्छ भन्नु न।
Okay, so first of all, let me hand over the floor to you. Praveen, you have got 1 to 5 minutes. You can revise in your own words. Okay. So, Praveen, I would like to hand over the floor to Praveen. Over to you.
थ्याङ्क यू सर, हाइली एप्रिसिएटेड। अनि एज युजुअल हाम्रो यो ऊ लास्ट कहिलेको थियो भनेपछि क्लास चाहिँ 18th अफ जुलाईमा लास्ट क्लास भएको थियो। 2 दिनको सर चाहिँ हल्का यो उसमा व्यस्त हुनु भएको छ ला त्यो क्लोजिङ हाम्रो भएको कारणले 2-3 क्लास स्किप भएको थियो सो हाम्रो आर्टिकल चाहिँ लास्ट सुरुमा एज युजुअल हाम्रो त्यो कल्चरै सेटअप भएको जसरी त्यो आर्टिकल चाहिँ फ्रम इकोनोमिक्सको चाहिँ त्यो टपिक वाज डिबेट इज गुड फर यु भन्ने थियो टपिक चाहिँ द टेक अवे फ्रम द्याट थ्योरी द्याट्स द थ्योरी अल्सो कन्सेप्टमा थ्योरी बिल्ड भएको थियो द टेक अवे फ्रम थ्योरी वाज रिलेटिभ मेरिट अफ डेबिट एन्ड डेबिट भन्न आएको छ के अरे debt and equity financing अनि optimal balance between this to debt and equity financing itself अनि net of tax income and are then taxed again in the hands of the receipts ट्रेड अफ थ्योरीहरूको कुरा भएको थियो भनेपछि टपिक आएको थियो तर त्यस्तो रिलेभेन्ट उसमा गएको थिएन हामी profitability company with stable cash flow and safe tangible assets can be absorb more depth unprofitable risking one with intangible assets अनि अर्को हाम्रो distribution of the spoils between creditors and shareholders को कुरा these were the takeaway from that हाम्रो चाहिँ आर्टिकल इटसेल्फ अनि आर्टिकल वाज बेस्ड अन थ्योरीलाई चाहिँ बेस बनाएर त्यसकै स्टोरीको कुरा भएको थियो अनि हाम्रो होल क्लास त्यो बाहेक क्लास एज फर क्लासको डिस्कसन चाहिँ त्यो हाम्रो युनिसले लास्ट क्लास चाहिँ युनिसले प्रेजेन्ट गरेकोमा चाहिँ टपिक वाज फ्रम रिस्क रिटर्न ट्रेड अफ भन्ने टपिकको चाहिँ युनिसले आफ्नो त्यसकै बारेमा उसले प्रेजेन्ट गराएको थियो डिस्कसन प्रिभियस क्लासमा भएको कुरा आर्टिकलको बारेमा इभन द्याट वाज द होल टपिक अफ द होल क्लास त्यो दिनको चाहिँ त्यो टपिक नै त्यही अनुसार थियो त्यो टपिक अनुसार वी डिस्कस 2 टपिक्स मेनमा चाहिँ स्ट्यान्ड अलोन रिक्स र रिक्स एन्ड रिक्स सेटको कुराहरू भएको थियो यो बाहेक देयर आर अदर्स टपिक एज वेल बेटा एन्ड के सिपिएमसी लिगल राइट्स एन्ड के प्रिभिलेज अफ कमन स्टकहरूको कुराहरू थियो अनि जुन चाहिँ हाम्रो उ थियो नि के अरे स्ट्यान्ड अलोन रिक्सको कुरामा त्यसमा पनि हाम्रो एक्सेल सिटहरूको त्यो डिफाइन गरिसकेको त्यो एक्सेल सिटमा जस्तो वर्कआउटदेखि लिएर कसरी क्यालकुलेसनहरू सबै त्यसमै भएको थियो अनि सेम त्यही कुराहरू नै थियो अब त्यो भित्रको इनडेप्थ त अस्ति क्लासले सरले फ्लो गर्नु भएको थियो त्यसैले त्यसमा चाहिँ म अहिले इनडेप्थ चाहिँ गइनँ हजुर द्याट्स अल्सो सर रिभ्यू भन्नुपर्दा सर्ट रिभ्यू एनिथिङ हजुरहरूलाई के यस्तो रिकल हजुरको कसैलाई के एनिथिङ रिकल गर्नुपर्ने छ यो नि भएको थियो नि भनेपछि त्यो टपिकमा वी क्यान डिस्कस आउट राइट नाउ हामी गर्न सकिन्छ अहिले कोही हुनुहुन्छ त्यस्तो क्लासमा गुरुबा बाहेक
Okay, so thank you so much, Praveen. Big round of applause for him. Thank you for revising it well. So please nominate someone, Praveen.
सबैभन्दा गाह्रो काम यो हो कि फेरि
It's an opportunity, you know, opportunity for class interaction.
यस सर हाम्रो रिभिजन छ नि
Okay, revision. Please accept the nomination. Revision Maharjan. Can you accept the nomination?
सर यो बनाएको यो उसमा वर्ड फाइल सेयर गर्नुपर्छ
Okay, thank you, revision. हजुर प्रवीण वाट के भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो
हजुर सर यसको सर रिभ्यू लेखाएको थियो क्या उसमा वर्डमा त्यो फाइल सेयर गर्नुपर्छ के छ हाम्रो
ए पर्दैन द्याट इज फर यु अब तपाईँको टर्म्समा भन्नुभयो मजाले थ्याङ्क यू फर द्याट थ्याङ्क यू फर वन्डरफुल्ली रिभाइजिङ स्पेसली द आर्टिकल ओके सो तपाईँको लागि भयो प्लिज किप द्याट तपाईँसँगै अहिले है इफ यु वान्ट एनी फिडब्याक यु क्यान सेयर इट टु मी ओके सो लास्ट स्लाइड आई आस्क यु तपाईँको कुन स्लाइडमा पुगेको थियो त्यो पनि भनिदिनु ल मलाई इफ यु रिमेम्बर
सर लास्ट स्लाइड हामी उसमा थियो रिक्स एन्ड रेट्सको चाहिँ हामी त्यो उसमा थियो यार त्यो सर प्रिभ्यू हुन्छ 4.2 मा हो स्ट्यान्ड अलोन रिक्सको तपाईँको उसमा के यस शेयर रेसियो कि केमा थियो भन्नुहोस् है
I think we have discussed about expected return, eh?
हजुर गरेको यो पनि
This one?
सकाएको
Okay. हामीले यो निकाल्यो है स्ट्यान्डर्ड डेभिएसन
हजुर सर एक्सेलमै गरेको हामीले
sorry, coefficient of variation.
गरेको हजुर
Okay, Sharpe ratio.
सापे रेसियो गरेको हो यो नि पर्छ
Okay, so expected rate of return. यहाँबाट हो त
हजुर
I think from here, right?
हजुर हजुर
Historical trade-off between risk and return, I think. Okay, so let me start from here. Okay, thank you, Praveen. Okay, so as we have understood that risk and return go hand in hand with each other, right? So there is always trade-off between risk and return. If any investment demands more risk, then of course we as an investor must require more return, and that is the universal truth, correct? So this is the case which I wanted to demonstrate you. Okay, so I might say in theory that higher the return, higher the risk, correct? But please, when you see the data, right, actual data which is happening around the world, then only you can be certified, right? Okay, so I've told that, and this is something happening around the world, correct? So that is the way we can understand, isn't it? So I have shown you this data. The table accompanying this box summarizes the historical trade-off between risk and return, different classes of investment through 1926. Now, from 1926 to 2016, this is a data of stock market of US, correct? So there are different differentiation of types of script. For an example, small cap stock means small capitalization stocks. For example, those stocks which volume is less in the market, whose share price is a little bit less in the market, correct? So those are usually small cap stocks, and others are large cap stocks. Some of them are long-term bonds. These are like risk-free returns, correct? Long-term government bonds usually, government usually, they need money, right? You know, in ancient Roman times, money was first discovered in the, I think, in Greek philosophy. But way to generate money by pledging the future was launched in Roman Empire. Why? Because Roman Empire was about to go in war, right? They were about to go in war. So what happened was government started to give certificates to people and ask money in return of that. And they were promising, government started to promise that we will give you certain amount of money after a certain period of time, but for now, please give us money so that we could increase our spending, so that we could spend in arms, military force, and expand our arsenal. Okay, so that way bonds and these kind of government bonds or securitizing future started to happen. There is a little bit of interesting history there, but coming back, these bonds and today also in market we can see bonds from NIC Asia or bonds from NMB Bank right now, which is floating. And, they tell you that, wait, we will promise to give you certain amount of money, correct, if you give us money right now, and we'll give you interest for certain period of time, and we'll also give you the money back. So that those are bonds, okay, to give you proper concept. So likewise, US Treasury bills, that is also some those are bills which are secure. Of course, it is given by government, unless government goes into war and country totally dissolves. These are the safest investment. And others were 90-10 bonds and 70-30 bonds. Now our risk return trade-off, this is practical example of it. Why? Because since history of 1926, we can see that small cap stocks, they usually have returns of 16.6%, highest one. Because why? They are much volatile, right? They move up, they go down, correct? So likewise, you can observe in our market as well, in NIFSI as well. But you can observe the interesting trend. In small cap stock, you have return of 16.6% from the year 1926 to 2016 if you average, right? So likewise, its standard deviation is also high. Standard deviation means risk. risk of not getting 16.6% is 31%. And so getting return of 16.6% is secure around how much? 69%, correct? Around 68.1%. Around 68.1%, we might get 16.6% of return, but remaining 31.9%, there is risk involved. So you can see the pattern: higher the risk, higher the return. So let us move on to large capital stocks. In the case of large capital stocks, as return went a little bit down, the risk was also a little bit down, right? Higher the return, higher the risk. Higher the return, higher the standard deviation. And as you move on, in case of bonds is 6.3%, standard deviation is also low. In the case of US Treasury bill, return is 3.4. Standard deviation is just 3.1%, near to zero, correct? So other are these kind of portfolios are specific portfolios which are floated in the market. It can be any kind of portfolio, correct? So our main crux point in nutshell: higher the risk, higher the return. There is always trade-off. Okay. So risk in a portfolio context. When we have to find risk of a script in a portfolio, we have to use CAPM theory, and it's most widely used model all around the world. A model based on proposition that is any stock's required rate of return is equal to risk-free rate of return plus risk premium that reflects only the risk remaining after diversification. Now it tells that if you are going to take extra risk, you have to demand extra required return. In 1960s, CAPM was developed. CAPM means capital asset pricing model, capital asset pricing model. So what is important is the return on portfolio and portfolio's risk. Logically, then risk and return of individual stock should be analyzed in terms of how security affects risk in returns of portfolio in which it is held. Okay, I think you have understood. If this is a portfolio, right? This is a jungle. I was giving this example in other class. I think it is best suited example. There are three kinds of animals. One is leopard, another is buffalo, another is elephant. Okay, so leopard is fast moving. Leopard runs with a huge speed, correct? Leopard is L. Okay, high risk is stock. It is according to the volatility of stock, leopard. Then buffalo moves a little bit slower than, not much slower than leopard, but it moves a little bit faster than elephant, correct? So elephant is lowest extreme, leopard is highest extreme, and in between there is buffalo, correct? So this is a jungle. Jungle means portfolio. In portfolio we have leopard, fast moving stock, we have elephant, slow moving stock, and we have buffalo, normal moving stock. Now you might ask, sir, what is the risk of buffaloes moving up and down, right? So you can find risk of buffalo moving up and down, or leopard moving up and down, or elephant. What is the risk of elephant moving up and down? We have seen that these are elephants, these are elephants because they move slowly. Their return is also coming slow, and their deviation is also coming slow. So these bills are buffaloes. Sorry, these bills are elephants. Correct? These are elephants. They move slowly. See an example of long-term corporate bond. You can state it as maybe buffalo, correct? And then upper two parts are leopard. But jungle means portfolio must have balance of all of those, correct? Because everyone has their own roles, isn't it? Like one is herbivorous, another is also herbivorous, one is carnivorous. They might bring balance to the jungle. Likewise, there might be other animals as well, maybe birds, maybe dogs, and other kind of animals as well, which are required to balance the jungle, correct? So moving it now, expected return on the portfolio. Now, what is the expected return on portfolio? How much portfolio do you return? Now, again, leopard, buffalo, and elephant. Among these three, now return given by leopard, return given by buffalo, and elephant. If you give weight to each one of those, right? Simple statistics, nothing much. How much return leopard? How much return you demand from leopard? Because you are taking higher risk, correct? So you will definitely demand higher return from leopard. Like buffalo, you will demand medium kind of risk and return, correct? Because its return is medium. And in case of elephant, since you know that it's moving slowly, you will not demand much higher risk, higher return, correct? So you'll give weight to each one of those. How many leopards are there in jungle? If there are 10 leopards in jungle, 15 buffaloes in jungle, and 3 elephants, so you have to weight it accordingly. Like take it total as 10 plus 5 plus 13, 18. So this is a total. So if you divide 10 by 18, then you get what is the weight of leopard around the jungle, right? If this is a jungle, what portion is covered by leopard, what portion is covered by buffalo, and what portion is left to elephant, correct? So likewise, according to the weight, you can see the weight of jungle, correct? If you want to see how jungle is made of, so you have to see weight of each one of those assets. So this is a summation of all the returns, simple statistics, nothing much. Okay, so I don't think there is any problem. So any question in this slide, anyone? Please let me know.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, Arsana. Okay, moving on. Okay, Unish, thanks. Risk in portfolio context. Okay, CAPM. Now let us take in practical example. No buffaloes, no leopard. Let us go to real example. I told you that this is how we calculate return. Okay, so in real case scenario, let us take stock 4 different kind of companies, real companies. One Microsoft, IBM, GE, General Electric, and ExxonMobil. These are 4 companies in jungle, I would say, right? In the jungle, there are Microsoft, IBM, GE, and ExxonMobil inside the portfolio. And among these 4 portfolio, our expected return is 7.75%, 7.25, 8.275, and 7.75. For those who are not understanding the point how to calculate expected return, I'll share you slide. Please go back to previous classes. Okay, very simple. Based on history of Microsoft, based on 3 or 4 or 5 year history of Microsoft or IBM, we calculate our expected return. How much risk we are taking, according to that, we calculate our expected return. Okay, so these are different expected return rates of Microsoft. 7.775. There are fractional differences you can see. For IBM, there is 7.25%. For GE, 8.75. Likewise, it goes on, correct? And we find average of all those, that is average expected return of portfolio as 7.875%. Okay, so how do we calculate that? How much is the amount out of the whole portfolio? How much is the amount comprising of Microsoft, Microsoft, IBM, GE, and Exxon, correct? We can see 25,000 is calculated. If you divide 25 by total, $25,000, 25, $25,000, $25,000, and the total is 1 lakh. So 1 lakh is this whole jungle, correct? 1 lakh. 1 lakh is this whole jungle. So this is 100%. Okay. So calculate these 25,000. How much 25,000 comprise of this whole? So if you divide 25,000 with 100,000 and multiply it with 100, then you get your weight. The weight of Microsoft is 25%. Microsoft weight of IBM is 25%, since there is also investment of 25,000, and weight of GE is 25%, and ExxonMobil is 25%. Then you get weight of each different stocks, correct? So likewise, if you product weight, right? If you product weight means how many leopards were there in the jungle. If there were 10 leopards, then you have to multiply, like how to find total population, or not total population only, to find whole composition of a particular place. We multiply by number with quality, right? So this is a number, right? And we are multiplying it with required return. Then we get 1.9375%. Okay, so if we add all 4, then we get our expected return. Simple, isn't it? Please note, Microsoft might double and thus provide a return of 100%. There is no necessity. Please never be confused regarding expected return and actual return. Expected means what we are expecting. Why? Because we are in the present. We do not know what is going to happen in the future. Okay. Microsoft might suit up. Why? It might release Microsoft 11. After Windows 10, Microsoft might release Windows 11. Unlike Windows 8, which was total flop, maybe the product Microsoft 11 will shoot into the stars. That means it will be hit in the market and sell millions and trillions of copies. If that happens, what happens? Its direct relationship comes to the stock market. As product will launch high, Microsoft will do better. Maybe in actual terms, after 1 year, maybe Microsoft might provide return of 100%. Whereas maybe, right? We do not know, but maybe IBM will have terrible year and fall sharply to 75%. Correct? Maybe Apple will surge in the market and IBM has to go down, right? That might be the event. You never know. So that is the reason why we diversify our portfolio. So in actual case, anything might happen. We'll sit down after the end of year and we'll calculate. Wait, our expected return of Microsoft was 7%, but Microsoft increased by 100%. That means there was deviation of around 92.25%, correct? Likewise, IBM went down by 75%. We were guessing that IBM will do business of 7.25%, will give us return of 7.25%, but it did not give us return, but rather it was down by minus 75%. It went to loss, correct? So those two events, Microsoft increment of 100% and IBM's decrement of 75% will counter each other, correct? For example, in the leopard, one leopard increased in number and one buffalo went down in number, correct? But it doesn't affect jungle, isn't it? Likewise, number of jungle, I would say it will definitely affect species, but it will not affect number of animals, correct? Likewise, in portfolio, these two events will be offsetting. So portfolio's return still might be close to its expected return. Our expected return of portfolio was 7.875%. Microsoft went up by 100, IBM went down by 100. This is a whole case of whole jungle. So it's going up and it's going down is happening inside the territory. That means that maybe we will be preserving this expected return 7.875%. Although I accept the fact that maybe there will be a little bit of deviation, but it will be close to that. It might be, I would not say it will be, but it might be close to its expected return, even though the returns on individual stocks were far from their expected values. So any confusion in this slide?
No, sir.
Thank you, Arsana. Okay. Since we have to see figures and these graphs so that it will paste in our mind, otherwise it will be difficult for us to understand the concepts. So I've inculcated these graphs as well so that we will have clarity, correct? So risk in portfolio context, we are discussing about that risk of that jungle, risk of portfolio, correct? Although expected return on portfolio is simply the weighted average of expected return. Okay, let me explain first. We are taking example from year 2014 to 18, correct? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We are taking example of 5 years, 5 different years, okay? So for these 5 different years, we have taken stock W and stock M, stock W and stock M, 2 different stocks, and we have portfolio of WM. This is the case when we did not have jungle. This is the case when elephants were different and leopards were different. But this is the case when we have jungle, right? When elephants are also here and leopards are also here. So the third case is the case of jungle. First and second case are case of independent investment. We have only leopards or we have only elephants, okay? So let us take an example of leopard only, correct? Stock W. In 2014, stocks return was 40%. In 2015, it was minus 10. Like in, let us take in, see in the graph. In the graph, red line is denoted in the graph. So this x-axis denotes year, x-axis denotes year 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18. Y-axis denotes rate of return, minus 15, 0, 15%, 30%. How much cash inflows happen to us? How much is our rate of return? These are rate of returns in y-axis. Okay, so x-axis year, y-axis rate of return. Okay, so let us take an example for stock W. Let us plot inside the graph. For year 2014, our percentage of return was 40%. So since this is 30% in the year 2014, so this is 2014, isn't it? This line is 2014. So we move up beyond 30, above 30%. Here we get our 40%, isn't it? So we plot our point here for first point. For 2015, there was 10%. Since here is 0%, correct? We move down to 10%, but not up to 15, right? So just above 15, much below 0, we get our 10%, right? This is our second point. Observe that how much of deviation you can see from first return, isn't it? Since it is leopard, right? Third case, 2016 is 40%. Now again, return went back to its original position. That was 40%. It suited in third year in 2016. In 2017, it was minus 10. It again went down to same position, and then again it went up to 15%. So this is a graph, correct? This is a graph, how a graph is forming in the case of stock W. Similarly, in the case of stock M, we are denoting stock M with blue line. Let me take the color so it will be more easier for you to understand. Okay, this is the blue line, correct? Stock M, first year to minus 10. So here is the starting point, just above, little bit above 15 and much below 0%. Second point is 40%. It went directly up to 40. Again, it went down to 10. Again, it went up to 40. And it is also really volatile stock, you know. So again, it went down to 15, correct? So in the both cases, we have plotted our graph between this blue line and red line being W, blue line being M. So let us find our required average return or mean for all return. If we add all these 5 returns and divide by 5, we get our average return of 15%. If someone asks you what is the average return of stock W, then you can tell based on 5 years data, based on 5 years past data, our return for stock W is 15%. Likewise, if someone asks what is the required rate of return for stock M, you can tell based on again 5-year data, stock M is 15%. I give an example telling that leopard and elephant, right? But it is not the case of leopard and elephant. It is the case of leopard plus leopard. Okay, we are having both leopard inside the portfolio. Why? Because see the deviation, how much it's deviating, right? See the deviation, and they are equally deviating. Why? Because their return is same, correct? And also standard deviation of both of them are same. It's 25%. We calculate standard deviation like using the formula which we discussed before. Yeah, here we discussed how to calculate standard deviation, right? Likewise, how much away these returns might go, correct? So please find deviation like that. Let me go back to the slide. Okay, so this is the case. Standard deviation is 25%. In the case of M is also 25%. Chances of not getting return of 15% is 25%. Observe that in both the cases, stock W and stock M, since both are leopards, why? Because return is same, risk is same, correct? Standard deviation is same and average return is also same. That means that, don't you think in the portfolio, if you put leopard and two leopards inside the portfolio, don't you think their return and their deviations also must be same? Don't you think that if we put 2 different stocks inside a portfolio, similar stocks whose return is same, expected return is same, and also whose not expected, I would say required return is same, and whose standard deviation is also same, that is risk is also same, It is simple logic, right? 1 plus 1 is must be equal to 2, isn't it? Not equal to 3, right? 1 plus 1 must be equal to 2, isn't it? According to the layman. But fascinating part is, as we will calculate standard deviation when we calculate of jungle, it was done of one leopard individually, red one, one individual little bit elder one, and another one little bit younger one, right? We were calculating standard deviation of both the case independently. But now we move on to the case when we are calculating standard deviation of jungle. So as it must be the case that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But let us see whether 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 or not. Now you see in 2000, in the case of portfolio WM, when we combine W and combine M, we simply calculate, we simply add both the returns of both the stocks, 40 and minus 10 we get, and divide by 2 we get our 15%, correct? Likewise, we move on up to 2018, we get again 15% for each of year. Like in 2018, when stock W was 15, stock M was also 15, and then its total is 30 in the in the case of 2030, and then you divide it by 2 stocks, then you get your answer of 15%, correct? In this case, all the stocks, all in each year, stocks return was 15%. Your average return is also 15%. If you add all these three and divide by 5, then you get your answer 15%. Okay. And interestingly, you can find standard deviation of this particular portfolio is 0. Okay. Standard deviation of this portfolio, this jungle, is 0. Isn't it interesting? You see, our return was same. We are getting 15% from W. We are getting 15% from M. We will get definitely 15% when we combine these two and bring them together. But as they say, synergy, or they say when two friends come together, they achieve a big feat, right? When one cannot do. Same thing happens when we make a jungle. When two leopards came together, now they have increased in strength. How? The risk is less. Like from 25%, their risk delved down to 0%. Okay. So if you calculate standard deviation one by one of this particular point also, you get standard deviation of 0. Okay. So if stock M and W and M were held separately, this would be its spread, right? More the spread, more the standard deviation, isn't it? So again, for portfolio WM, its return is stuck on 15%, no any deviation at all, correct? So standard deviation 0 because its rate of return is 15%. So although the expected return on portfolio is simply weighted average of expected return on its individual stocks, portfolio risk is not weighted average of individual stocks standard deviation. Biggest lesson to understand is that when we diversify our portfolio, given that best stock, when we diversify our portfolio, then our risk reduces, giving same return, correct? Isn't that is the case which we want to attain, isn't it? We love return, but we hate risk, isn't it? So we want to earn without taking much risk, isn't it? So diversifying portfolio might be answer to that, correct? So if someone tells you that, yeah, I'm holding 10,000 shares of Nobel Bank, I don't want to buy any other stocks, you can simply tell them that if you have certain required return, if you do not have required return, you are just like putting like cover in your eyes, right? And you're like a man inside the black room. That's fine with you. Like you are taking unlimited risk. It can go shoot up to whatever the point it can, and it can go down to whatever point it can. But as a prudent rational investor, we have to definitely find our required return, and according to our required return, we try to find risk, and we will definitely try to reduce risk so that at the end of the year we might reach up to that required return. That is our definitely objective of investing in share market. Okay, so any confusion in this?
So like यो correlation relation coefficient नि त लास्टको त्यो चाहिँ बुझाइदिनु न के त्यो चाहिँ
Yeah, okay, revision. Okay, thank you. So thank you for the question. Correlation coefficient भनेको चाहिँ, okay. So this is a relationship between two different stocks. है हामीले पछाडि नै कभर गर्नुपर्छ, आउँदैछ correlation coefficient आउँदैछ, but यसमै एक्सप्लेन गरिदिन्छु है, हाम्रो स्लाइड छिटो कुद्छ. So what happens is that, okay, if revision becomes happy, okay, if revision is happy and Praveen is also happy for his success, then that is called positively correlated. Okay, +1. Simple example. If revision is happy but Praveen is sad about his happiness, then that is -1. And equally, if he is happy equally, then he is sad to that intensity, then that is -1 and +1. Correct? And correlation 0 means no effect at all. For example, if revision is happy and it doesn't matter to Praveen, like I don't know, he's a stranger, I don't know him, we have just met in online classes. If that is the case, correlation is 0. Correct? Correlation defines the relationship between two different stocks or two different investments. Correct? Positively correlated, they move along together. Negatively correlated, if one moves up, another goes down. If another goes down, another moves up. Correct? So this is simply the relationship between those stocks. Now you can see in the example, right? In the example, correlation coefficient between these W and M was -1. Why? You can observe that while the stock W was 40% up, stock M was -10%. Correct? It was -10%. And it doesn't mean that if one moves 10, then another has to move down by 10. Now, they have their own way of moving up and down, and they have own range of going up and down. In the second case, W went down by 10, but M went up by 40%. Correct? That means that they are negatively correlated. We understand that, isn't it? But we cannot simply tell that whether they are negatively correlated. We definitely understood it, but we cannot say for sure it's 1, isn't it? We cannot say for sure it's 1. So we calculate correlation between those stocks. Let me give you a third example. In 2016, in W went up by 40%. Correct? M went down by 10%. Again, they are negatively correlated. Once stock M's return is going up, while stock M's return is going down. And again in 2018, in the case of 2018, it was kind of stable. In that particular case, it was stable. It remained constant. But what is the majority? In how many cases? Out of 5 instances, in 4 instances, they went inversely. Correct? While we calculate correlation in portfolio, then we find actual how much deviation happens between W and M, and how much are they related with each other. And we'll discuss this in upcoming slides. Revision, is it clear? Did you understand it a little bit, like conceptually?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, correlation coefficient. The tendency of two variables to move together is called correlation. Yes. Measures tendency, how much will they move up and down. Statistically, now stock W and M are perfectly negatively correlated, because 4 means it is a symbol of correlation coefficient. So 4 is -1 means they move negative with each other. One is happy, another is sad. Equally, 1 means equally. It might be -0.8, -0.1. One is extremely happy, another is a little bit sad. That is -0.1. Correct? One is extremely sad, another is a little bit happy. That is 0.1, -0.1. Because although it's negative, it's not with that intensity. One being the equal intensity. Okay. The opposite of perfectly negative correlation is perfectly positive correlation, with 4 is equal to +1. They are moving along with each other. Correct? Like Joy and Biru, right? Like Munna Bhai and Circuit, or maybe like Revision and Praveen. They are friends together. They do things together, and they want to move along and be successful together. and one success helps other person's success as well. So they become happy together. That is the point when relation is positively correlated. If some bad incident happens to one person, another person will also feel sad. That is another example, correct? So positive correlation means they move along, up also together, down also together. So if returns are not related at all to one another at all, they are said to be independent and phi is equal to 0. For a stranger, you do not have any feeling, correct? So this is kind of stranger. These two stocks, Microsoft and if I tell you, okay, so let me give you one. Let me ask you one question. Are the stocks of Microsoft and Apple? If I tell you Microsoft and tell me true or false, okay? The stock of Microsoft and Apple is its correlation coefficient is 0. Is it true or not? So that way I think you'll understand. Let me ask each one of you.
So somehow they
False,
are
right?
somehow they are correlated in the business sector too as well.
Yeah, Praveen, thank you for the head up. Thank you for the answer. Yes, they are definitely correlated, isn't it? Like they are in same sector. If something happens to Microsoft, this will definitely affect Apple. We can, even laymen can understand that. Why? Because they share the same market. They share the same market consumers. They share the same geography of consumers and technological users, right? So whatever goes with Microsoft, it might not go well with Apple, or it might go well with Apple in the first place. But we cannot say their correlation is 0. It is definitely not the case. It might be positive, it might be negative. It depends on how they are performing in the market, but it can never be 0. Okay. Okay, so returns on two perfectly positively correlated stocks with the same expected return would move up and down to. I think we have understood it. Now, in reality, most stocks are positively correlated. Okay, in reality, most stocks are positively correlated, but not perfectly so. Not +1. No, they are not perfectly correlated. Some might be correlated by 0.1, some might be correlated by 0.9, or some might be correlated by 0.2 only. Okay, maybe like for revision, Raman might be not as happy as Praveen. Praveen might be happy for 0.9. Yeah, he's happy. Raman might be happy, but little bit like, oh, it's good that he's doing good in life. So let me be happy for a while, right? So most of the cases as a friend, everyone are happy like that. In the case of stock as well, most stocks are positively correlated, but not perfectly so, correct? You cannot find perfect +1 in the market unless it is like extreme situation, like, oh, that's a wonderful case, right? Past studies have estimated that on average. Now this is a wonderful data for us to create that insight for our stock investment. You see, past studies have estimated that on average, the correlation coefficient between two returns of two randomly selected stocks is 0.3. Usually, correlation coefficient between stocks is positive 0.3. Okay, so one stock helps other stock to move a little bit ahead. And it is average of, now again, data is from New York Stock Exchange. Okay, so for NEPSE, I think we have not calculated it. Maybe sometime, maybe in the future, we might sit together and we might calculate correlation data for Nepalese market as well. There is deficiency of data in our country, so maybe we will start to do that. We can do that, of course, with the formulas and all, but it's about the time and passion, you know. So yeah. Okay, so let us delve in to more conceptual clarity of correlation coefficient. Okay, so again, W and Y, two examples, correct? Previous example was between W and M. Okay, so this example is between W and Y. So let us take an example in 2014. So similar, in x-axis there are number of years, in y-axis there is rate of return. Okay, so for 2014, please see the red line for stock W. Let us plot it first. In 2014, first point was 40%, Second was -10, it went down to 0, a little bit ahead, a little bit above 15. And in the third year, we now again return rose to 35%. Again, it went down to 5%, and then finally in 2018 to 15%. Correct? So this is kind of graph for stock Y. For stock W. For stock Y, first was 40%. It was much higher. Second was 15, down. Third again, second was 15 here. Third was 5. Fourth was 5. Fourth was -10, and fifth was 35%. It went again up, and it closed there, giving in return of 35%. For portfolio WY, it's a jungle again, separate leopards. Okay, this is a jungle. Now again we have a bag jungle, and in that portfolio WY we have, now again, how do we calculate it? I've been constantly telling you so that you will not be confused. Again, 40 plus 40 divided by 2, again -10 plus 15 divided by 2, 35 minus 10, and then you calculate, and then you average it. You add all and divide by 5, then you get 15%. You can observe that again average return for all of these are 15%. But deviation, standard deviation is same for stock W and same for stock Y. Standard deviation is same for stock W and stock Y. But you can see for WY, standard deviation is 18.62%. Now again, there were two leopards. We brought them together inside the jungle, and then like friends, now they have got strength. Their risk is reduced. Given that return was same, they are going to get 15% anyway, right? But their chances of getting it is higher, right? And their chances of not getting it is just 18.62%. Now it has reduced a little bit, correct? So likewise, if correlation coefficient would have been 1, then maybe our standard deviation would be 0 in this case, right? In this case, in the case of -1, right? Correlation coefficient was -1. In this case, our standard deviation was 0 in the previous example. But here, we can see our correlation coefficient was 0.35. That means that little bit of risk is only reduced or is substituted by another script. Okay, so this is rate of return when portfolio, we take portfolio of this, right? We have return of this, and then this is a portfolio's graph. This is a graph when W and Y are separately held, and this is a graph of our whole portfolio, correct? So any confusion in this slide? Now again, we can conclude from this example as well. When we bring two leopards together in a jungle, then they become stronger, correct? Their risk goes down. Likewise in portfolio, like in technical term, while we diversify our portfolio, our diversifiable risk reduces. Let me repeat. If we diversify our portfolio, our diversifiable risk reduces, but only if we select correct stocks. Okay, so more the correlation coefficient, higher the chances of reduced standard deviation, correct? Because risk of one stock is compensated by another one, correct? So any confusion in this slide?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, Arsena, Eunice. I'm bad with names, you know. I have to constantly remind my mind to like spell it. Okay, so now this is awesome picture, you know. Now you can be totally clear. If you have any confusion up to now this figure will completely eradicate your confusion. So does risk increase in size of portfolio? You might have a friend who invests in share market, right? We might have even our students here who invest in share market. They might have 100 stocks or 200 or 210, all kind of stocks of Nepal stock market, right? They might have huge number of stocks. So if we know that when we bring 2 leopards inside the jungle, then risk their strength increases, right? If we bring 2 leopards inside the jungle, their strength increases, means that risk is reducing, correct? Risk of getting not getting return is reducing. So can we add more leopards and keep on adding elephants and keep on adding buffaloes and again bringing in? What is the limit? How big can the jungle be? Or will it continue to the point when our risk will be 0? Will it continue to the point when our standard deviation will be 0?
No,
That
sir,
was
tends to 0.
हजुर
0 हुन चाहिँ सक्छ, जेरै चाहिँ भन्ने चाहिँ अलिक हुँदैन भनौँ न.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. Wonderful answer, wonderful answer. Thank you for that. जङ्गलमा जति जनावर थपे पनि रिस्क चाहिँ अलिकति हुन्छ. 0 भन्ने एब्सोल्युट चाहिँ हुँदैन है. 0, you will not get 0 as Praveen is mentioning, but you can reduce it down. तर एउटा पोइन्टमा अब क्राउड हुन थाल्छ नि जङ्गलमा. फर इक्जाम्पल अहिले जापानमा पपुलेसन छैन हैन, अनि के भनिरहेको छ जापान गभर्नमेन्टले भन्दाखेरि यङ पपुलेसनहरू जहाँबाट आए नि हजुरहरू आउनु, हामी एकदम राम्रो फेसिलिटीहरू दिन्छौँ भनेर. अब यङ पपुलेसनहरू आउँदै जान्छ के हुन्छ, जापानको रिस्क रिड्युस हुँदै जान्छ, उनीहरूको ह्युमन रिसोर्स राम्रो हुँदै जान्छ. बट one point what will happen, जापान will be even more overcrowded. वहाँ प्रब्लम स्टार्ट हुन सक्छ हैन. पोर्टफोलियो डाइभर्सिफिकेसन भने नि एक्ज्याक्टली त्यही हो. ओके, आवर डाइभर्सिफाएबल रिस्क घट्छ एउटा सर्टेन लेभलसम्म घट्छ, तर इट विल नट किप अन रिड्युसिङ टु द लेभल 0. एउटा पोइन्टसम्म मात्रै घट्ने हो. एन्ड द्याट इज समथिङ विल अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड हियर. डज रिस्क डिक्रिज on increase in portfolio size? We are continuously increasing the size of jungle. So animals here add continuously गर्दा risk 0 मा पुग्छ भन्ने question हो. In this case, we demonstrate it through this figure. Now in the x-axis we have number of portfolio, size of the jungle, है, number of portfolio. In the y-axis we have deviation or risk. Return the same छ है, return को हामीले कुरै गर्नु परेन. Return यसको केसमा नि 15 थियो, यसको केसमा नि 15 थियो है. रिटर्न चाहिँ we are taking it as 15% है. Given that we are only adding stocks which are giving us return of 15%. Okay, given that we are adding only अब leopards हरु मात्रै एड गरिरहेछौं हामीले है, because we are not adding buffaloes or elephant whose returns is lower than leopard. So हामीले leopard मात्रै एड गरिरहेछौं, our required return is same. So त्यसमा टाउको दुखाउनै परेन. So in what point we must decide risk को कुरामा, risk we have to reduce risk हैन, त्यही भएर त यत्रो टाउको दुखाइरा हो. So for risk to reduce, we are trying to diversify our portfolio. We are trying to add more leopards inside the jungle. So त्यो गर्दा let us see what happens. This is risk, these are number of stocks. So as we can see, when we had only one leopard in the jungle, one leopard only in the jungle, our risk was 35%. 35% of risk of not getting our return of 15%. Please note, our return is constant. In every point, 10% money, 15% return paउने हो, 20 money, 30 money, 40. As we'll increase the size of portfolio, it doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter what would be the percentage of return. Why? Because our percentage of return is fixed, isn't it? भोलि गएर तपाईले स्टक मार्केटमा लगानी गर्दाखेरि तपाईले 1 लाखलाई 2 लाख बनाउँछु भन्ने त तपाईलाई थाहा हुनु पर्यो नि त हैन. अनलेस अब हैन सर यो यतिकै चलोस् चलिरहोस् भनेपछि तपाई अब धृतराष्ट्र जस्तो भयो, जे मनला जे भयो. तर एज अ फाइनान्स स्टुडेन्ट चाहिँ तपाईको टार्गेट हुन्छ 1 लाख बाट आई वान्ट टु मेक 2 लाख भन्दाखेरि तपाईको रिटर्न फिक्स्ड भयो 100% रिटर्न है. Your return is 100% in that case. Okay, now what will you do? You will bring all the stocks which are going to give you 100%. जसले 100% दिन्छ त्यही मात्रै ल्याएर डाइभर्सिफाई गर्ने हो के. 98 लाई ल्याउने अनि 102 लाई ल्याउने हैन. तर तपाईहरुले 98 ल्याउनु भयो भने 102 लाई ल्याएर त्यो दुईटा मिलाएर ल्याउनु पर्यो है. But your required portfolio return must stay up to 100. ओके, त्यो क्याल्कुलेट गरेर त्यसरी आफ्नो पोर्टफोलियोको रिटर्न चाहिँ सेम हुन्छ. यो पोर्टफोलियोको नि सेम 100%, यसको नि 100%, 20 हुँदा नि 100%, तपाईको रिक्वायर्ड रिटर्न चाहिँ सेमै हुन्छ. लेट अस एज्युम दैट, अनि हुन पनि त्यही हुने हो. ओके, सो इन दिस केस इट्स नट 100 है, हामीले 15 लिइरहेछ है इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एक्जाम्पल. सो लेट अस टेक आवर रिटर्न इज 15%. We are now increasing leopards 10, 20, 30, 40. In this case, what happened? Not getting chance of risk. Our risk was 35%. Or in the case of 2 stocks, our risk reduced to around 30%. In the case of 5 stock, it reduced to 10. But what pattern can you see? As we are increasing number of stocks, please note, as we are increasing number of stocks, the rate at which our risk is reducing is also in decreasing order, right? It went directly down. It went directly down and then it is stabilizing. It's like learning curve. Like, and then at one point it went to a steady pattern, right? तपाईहरुले सुरुमा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ रिस्क usually got you, right? It went down, absolutely down, up to 10. Then again up to 20 also it is going down, but in decreasing order. Now again in 30 and 40, now the slope is a little bit same. So risk might be same. So maybe you want to increase number of portfolio after 30 or not. It depends on you, how much investment you want to make. But there is one particular point. There is one particular point from where risk is not going to decrease. Risk will remain constant. Please note, there is one point from where risk is not going to decrease. From this point, now risk will absolutely remain constant. And from here, there is no merit of diversifying portfolio with the objective of reducing risk. There is, from this point, there is no objective of, there is no merit of diversifying portfolio to reduce risk. Okay, so I hope you have understood this concept. Now this standard deviation M means standard deviation of 20.4%. this is a standard deviation of market, right? Standard deviation of market. Now one thing I have not mentioned you up to now, sir. Okay, we have seen this figure. Why this curve is not coming beyond this market, or why it is not coming down up to beyond 20.4%, right? There is certain threshold from where we cannot reduce our portfolio risk. It is 20.4 in this case. This is it is 20.4% in this case. We reduced our risk from 35% to 24.4, but we cannot cross the line of 20.4. Why? Now these are the critical lines which we can do nothing about. It is not under our control. It is not under anyone's control. It is macroeconomic factor. Like Corona was not under our control, right? We cannot tell that okay, our Nobel Bank share is going down because of Corona, and people are not taking overdraft loan in the business. So how about we reduce Corona? Can we do that? Right? We can take preventive measures, and we can do in minute level, but as a whole we cannot have that macro effect. Likewise, these are certain things like war, inflation, recessions, high interest rates, decisions by Nepal Rashtra Bank, monetary policy. We cannot control them. We have to accept this risk. So this risk is called market risk. 20.4 risk is called market risk. Above it, all the risks are diversifiable risk. All the risks are diversifiable risk. So we can reduce diversifiable risk. We can do nothing about market risk. Now about, you might say, sir, what are diversifiable risks? What are the risks we can eliminate? Now, diversifiable risks are such as lawsuits to that particular company. For an example, we have bought Nobel Bank's share, correct? So Nobel Bank is sued by, let us say, United Finance, since they are merging together. So one of the directors had filed petition against Nobel Bank in Supreme Court, and the case of that director might the chances of winning in that lawsuit of that director is a little bit high. So Nobel Bank might have to pay huge amount of compensation. It might have huge impact in share market or share prices of Nobel Bank. So diversifiable risk, we can reduce it. How? We can purchase NIC Asia, because NIC Asia is not getting lawsuit, right? Lawsuit of Nobel Bank is not going to affect share prices of NIC Asia. What we can do? We can simply buy NIC Asia. We can tell that, oh wait, NIC Asia is performing wonderfully, so let us buy NIC Asia, right? So this is controllable, correct? Likewise, strikes, labor strikes. In one company, strike happened, like employees of Nobel Bank now, they are telling that we are not going to work for 7 days unless we are going to promote us. So we can reduce that risk. How? By buying shares of NIC Asia, right? So likewise, successful and non-successful marketing, R&D programs, and these are the certain cases of diversifiable risk. Diversifiable risk, any risk which are beyond, which are above 20.4%, which can be reduced. Market risk, corona and all lawsuit disasters, which we have nothing, we cannot do nothing about it, correct? Very interesting diagram, you know. It will be helpful for you to like impart knowledge to others as well. You see, now diversifiable risk and have now portfolio risk declines as stocks are added, okay, at decreasing rate. I think you have understood it. Portfolio risk would decline faster if we choose stocks with lower correlation, okay. So yeah, low correlations with one another and with low standard deviation. And one key remains, how should the risk of an individual stock be measured? Now this is a question which we are going to address in further slides. Okay, so you told us how to reduce portfolio risk, right? How to reduce portfolio risk as a whole, but how can we find how much is the risk of individual script? Maybe what is the risk of Nobel Bank? How can we find it? So there are similar ways to different ways to find that. We'll discuss about it. So any confusion in this slide, please let me know.
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Nis. Okay, so I think please go through it. I think you can understand it. You slide ma bhanda bhanda practically के भइरहेको छ
run by the investment banking right now, the investment bankersहरूले गरेर यही गर्ने हैन, यो क्याल्कुलेसन गरेर
Praveen, you are not audible. Can you please like
सो हाम्रो के यो अहिले तपाईले जुन चाहिँ गराइराख्नु भएको छ नि त्यो चार्टहरु देखाएर यो मोरओभर जुन चाहिँ के अरे यो चाहिँ अहिले करेन्टली इन्भेस्टमेन्ट बेङ्कर्सहरूले या त फाइनान्शियल इन्स्टिट्युटले गरेर चाहिँ यसलाई प्रेजेन्ट गर्ने हैन इन्भेस्टरहरूलाई
या तपाईहरुलाई जस्तै आई एम नट लाइक यस्तो छ के मैले आई एम ट्राइङ टु ब्रिङ एज प्र्याक्टिकल कन्टेन्ट एज पोसिबल के अब भोलि गएर अब यहाँ के अरे इन्क्रिमेन्ट इन पोर्टफोलियो साइज भनेर राख्दै एउटा स्लाइडमा अनि मैले 4 लाइन भनेर मैले छोडिरहेको छैन के तपाईहरुलाई सकेसम्म ग्राफै देखाएर है समथिङ विच इन्भेस्टर बैंकरहरूले रियल लाइफ सिनारियोमा के गर्छ यिनीहरू चीजहरु ल्याएर देखाइरहेको छु के सो दैट भोलि गएर हामीले यो पढाएको थियो थिएन एन्ड अल नहोस् भोलि गएर यो सोर्सेस चाहिँ तपाईहरुले सेभ गरेर फ्युचरमा पनि यो स्लाइडहरु काम लागोस् के तपाईहरुलाई रेफरेन्सको लागि भनेर बनाइरहेको छु के हैन प्र्याक्टिकली काम नलाग्ने भने नलेजको कामै भएन हैन त्यही भएर तपाईले भने जस्तै दिज आर द स्लाइड्स व्हिच आर डिस्कस्ड यो फिगरहरु व्हिच have actually happened इमेजिनरी केही छैन यो भकै सबै पोइन्टहरु हो यो डब्लु र एम पनि स्टकको नामै हो यहाँ चाहिँ डब्लु र एम लेखेको छ एनालाइसिस रियल लाइफ सिनारियोमै भएको हो है अल दी स्लाइड्स मैले जति स्लाइड्सहरु ल्याएको छ है सबै त्यसरी ल्याएको अनि दिज आर प्र्याक्टिकल इश्यूज अनि अझै तपाईहरुलाई जस्तै कुनै कुराहरु यो मैले अहिले एक्सप्लेन गरे हैन कुनै कुरा अझै क्ल्यारिटी अर प्र्याक्टिसमा के भयो भनेर चाहिँ यस्तो केस स्टडीजहरु बिच हाल्दिएको छु कि हुन चाहिँ अब असाइनमेन्टहरु दिँदा राम्रो हुन्थ्यो तपाईहरुलाई है तर आई नो दैट अहिले तपाईहरुले नहेरे पनि फ्युचरमा यो ilearn.com मा गएर अनि यो स्लाइड निकालेर अनि तपाईहरुले त्यो राख्नुहुन्छ आई नो दैट बिकज यस्तो केस स्टडीहरु पाइदैन के है राम्रो राम्रो बुकहरुमा मात्रै हुन्छ इफ यु गो थ्रु इट थरो समरी अनि तपाईहरुले यो सेट सुरुदेखि लास्टसम्म हेर्नु भयो भने त्यो क्ल्यारिटी नि बस्छ के यो दिज आर द थिंग्स व्हिच ह्यापन इन योर लाइफ wait, this might happen in Nepali stock market, and today I'm going to analyze according to these things, and like it replicates all around it. आजको डेटमा न्युयोर्क स्टक एक्सचेन्ज नि घटिरहेछ, हिजो 3 दिनदेखि क्रास भइरहेछ, कति 20 मन्थ्स लो भनिरहेको थियो, सेन्सेक्स क्रास भयो, इन्डियाको नि 3 डेजदेखि डाउन भइरहेछ। नेपालमा चाहिँ ट्रेमर्स आएको छैन, नेपालमा उल्टो छ, नेपालमा सरकार चेन्ज भइरहेको छैन। सो दिस थिङ्स एप्लाइज के रियल टाइममा नि। सो त्यो मैले 1 मन्थमा तपाईँहरूलाई दिँदै खोज्दैछु नि, त्यो इन्भेस्टमेन्ट बढाउने, त्यो सिक्ने हामीले फाइनेन्समा। यो थ्योरी गरेर अनि 4वटा प्रब्लम सल्भ गरेर भन्दा नि तपाईँको पैसा बढ्नु पर्यो क्या एट द एन्ड। अनि यु क्यान एडभाइज कम्पनी टु इन्क्रिज देयर मनी, सेयर होल्डर्स भ्याल्यु, द्याट इज आवर अब्जेक्टिभ। सो सबै प्रवीण सबै हो तपाईँको रियल इन्भेस्टर ब्याङ्करहरूले CFA को कोर्समा नि यही देखिन्छ चार्ट, CA को कोर्समा नि यही चार्ट देख्नुहुन्छ तपाईँले, पछि गएर MBA फाइनेन्स पढ्दा नि यही कन्टेन्ट हो, योभन्दा एडभान्स कन्टेन्ट भेट्नुहुन्न।
सर नेपालको के स्टकमा के अटोमेसन गर्न मिल्छ, इलिगल छ कि के छ सर नेपालमा अहिले, के आइडिया छ?
सो अटोमेसन मिन्स वाट इन पर्टिकुलर, के पोइन्ट चाहिँ?
सर बट ट्रेडिङ,
होइन मैले बुझिनँ।
सर बट ट्रेडिङ भन्ने हुन्छ नि जुन चाहिँ
के ट्रेडिङ रे?
बट ट्रेडिङ भन्छ नि बाहिरतिर, जस्तै त्यो सिस्टम जस्तै अहिले त म्यानुअली छ नि त, हुन अटोमेसन छ तर त्यो त म्यानुअली ट्रेडिङ छ नि। बट ट्रेडिङ चाहिँ गर्न दिन्छ कि दिँदैन नेपालमा?
बट ट्रेडिङ भनेको तपाईँको यो आर्टिफिसियल इन्टेलिजेन्सले बट बनाउँछ नि, त्यसले ट्रेडिङ गर्छ भनेको?
हजुर, हुन क्र्यास त खाइरहेको हुन्छ नि नेपालको मार्केट होइन, के अरे कतिको लिगल छ कि छैन भने के लिगल ट्रेन्डरमा पर्छ कि पर्दैन भन्न खोजेको मात्र।
सो आई डोन्ट थिङ्क अब अहिलेको पोइन्टमा नेपालमा इभन सर्ट सेलहरू छैन, इन्ट्राडे छैन, T+2 नै छ होइन, अनि इन्ट्राडेहरू आइरहेको छ।
एपिआई त दिन्छ नि त उसले, हाम्रो यो नेप्सेले दिइरहेको हुन्छ नि त, एपिआईबाट कल आउट गरेर प्यारामिटर्सलाई चाहिँ उ गर्ने त हो, एउटा सिस्टममा ल्याउने त हो, द्याट क्यान बी मेड इजिली। तर गर्न दिन्छ कि दिँदैन भन्ने कुरामा त हो नि, त्यसैले हाम्रो चाहिँ के छ?
अब आई थिङ्क द्याट इज समथिङ आई अल्सो डोन्ट नो होइन, टु बी फ्रेङ्क। बट ट्रेडिङ अब यिनीहरूले अब नेपाल गभर्मेन्ट एकदमै दे आर स्केप्टिक अबाउट आइटी एन्ड अल। अहिले बिस्तारै बल्ल अस्ति भर्खरै आइटीलाई चाहिँ इन्डस्ट्री, म्यानुफ्याक्चरिङ इन्डस्ट्री हो आइटी पनि भनेर रिकगनाइज गरिदियो होइन। र आजको दिनमा पनि भोलि तपाईँले अमेरिकन सफ्टवेयर प्रोभाइडरलाई पैसा तिर्नुपर्छ भने लिगल्ली मिल्दैन, हुन्डीहरू अरू वेबाट गर्नुपर्छ एन्ड अल भइरहेको छ। द्याट इज प्र्याक्टिकल प्रब्लम विच एनआरबी विल, अब नेपाल राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले सल्भ गर्छ होला। अस्तिसम्म नेटफ्लिक्सहरू पेमेन्ट गर्दा नि हामीले सबै इलिगल च्यानलबाट गरिरहेको थियौँ, अहिले अब यो डलर कार्ड भएर सजिलो भएको छ। लाइकवाइज अब बटहरूको केसहरूमा नि ओपन कतिको छ गभर्मेन्ट भन्दा मलाई आई थिङ्क प्रवीण, आई अल्सो डोन्ट नो अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर थिङ बट ट्रेडिङ। यो इटोरो भन्ने थाहा छ मलाई, एउटा होइन सफ्टवेयर
युरोपियन कम्पनी त होइन, युरोपियन कम्पनी जेनेरेट क्रिप्टोकरेन्सी एन्ड उनीहरूको बोन्ड्स पेपर त्यो के छ जस्तो लाग्थ्यो त्यो इटोनमा। हजुर,
आई थिङ्क अब ह्युज
त्यो त प्योर ट्रेडिङ प्लेटफर्म नै भयो। कस्तो बट ट्रेडिङमा टोटली हुन्छ तपाईँले म्यानुअली सर्भरमा ब्याकएन्डमा चाहिँ रन गरेर हुनुहुन्छ, अनि म्यानुअली हुन्छ नि, जस्तै हाम्रो यो एनालाइसिस हुन्छ नि, जस्तै हाम्रो प्यारामिटर्सहरू चाहिँ एनालाइज गर्छ नि, जुन चाहिँ फन्डामेन्टल्स एन्ड ग्राफलाई चाहिँ तिनीहरूको अब हामीले पर्टिकुलर अल्गोरिदम दिएको हुन्छ, यो हुन्छ बाई एन्ड सेल्स आउट भनेर चाहिँ एउटा सर्टेन इन्स्ट्रक्सन त अभियसली दिइहालिन्छ। त्यो इन्स्ट्रक्सनलाई चाहिँ हामीले म्यानुअली गरिन्छ नि। जस्तै यो तपाईँलाई थाहा छ फ्ल्यास ट्रेड भन्ने थाहा छ, 2010 को हो कि 9 को हो, यो युकेमा भएको थियो नि एउटा वान अफ दि आफै त हुन्छ नि पम्प र डम्प गराएको थियो नि उसले, जस होलको नास्डाकै हो के तपाईँको स्टक नै, अनि उसले त्यसरी गरेर नेपालमा नै मिल्छ मिल्दैन भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ सोधे।
आई थिङ्क अहिले चाहिँ पर्टिकुलरली
इलिगल साइडबाट भन्न खोजेको होइन कि एज अ इन्थुजाइस्टको हिसाबले म त सोधेकै।
आई थिङ्क यस्तो छ, नेपालमा अलि अर्गनाइज्ड स्टकहरू अर्गनाइज वेमा, अब बट ट्रेडिङ भनेको अलिकति वेन मार्केट चाहिँ अलिकति म्याच्योर भएपछि हुने हो। नेपाल मार्केट भनेको एकदमै इन्फेन्ट मार्केट हो है। इनसाइडर ट्रेडिङ अब सबैतिर हुन्छ वर्ल्डभरि, तर नेपालमा एकदम बढी छ, यु क्यान सी द्याट है। तपाईँले बुझ्नु भएकै होला, यत्रो तपाईँ रिसर्च गर्नु हुँदो रहेछ, तपाईँलाई ठ्याक्कै थाहा हुन्छ त्यो। अब स्टक एक्सचेन्जै हेर्नु न, माइक्रो फाइनेन्स बढ्यो भने होइन सबै बढ्छ। के प्याटर्न, वेयर इज द प्याटर्न भन्दाखेरि प्याटर्न छैन नि त। एउटा बढेपछि हल्ला चल्छ, हल्ला चलेपछि त्यही अनुसार अब रेभेन्यूहरूले नि अलिअलि त बढाउँछ। ब्याङ्कहरूको चाहिँ अलिकति, ब्याङ्कहरूको मात्रै अरू इन्सुरेन्सहरूको मात्रै चाहिँ अलिकति गर्न मिल्ला बट ट्रेडिङबाट गरेर है अहिलेको टाइममा अलिकति इनसाइडर ट्रेडिङ कम भएको छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई त्यही पनि देयर इज देयर द्याट इज देयर तर ड्राइभ गर्ने भनेको नेट प्रफिटले नै हो हैन नेट प्रफिट अर फाइनान्शियल डेटाले ड्राइभ गर्ने हो सो आई थिंक स्कोप इज अलवेज देयर टु ब्रिङ क्रिएटिभिटी एन्ड इनोभेसन यु क्यान स्टार्ट लाइक बट ट्रेडिङ पछि फाइनेन्स सकेपछि आफ्टर दिस अनि यस्तो हो लाइक यु हेभ द भिजन भन्दाखेरि अनि देन यु बार्गेन विथ गभर्मेन्ट नि त गभर्मेन्टसँग गएर अनि एलाउ गर्नु भनेर अनि देन यु हेभ टु लाइक डु टु एन्ड फ्रो विथ देम हैन नेगोसिएट गर्नुपर्छ नत्रवाइज अब हेर्नु न टुटललाई नि त रेजिस्टेन्स थियो नि गभर्मेन्टको हैन सो अहिले चाहिँ मार्केट अनुसार चाहिँ गर्न मिल्दैन जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई है मेरो पर्सनल ओपिनियन कि जब हामीले प्रेडिक्ट गर्न सक्दैन मार्केट कसैले पनि सक्दैन त तर यो त अति भयो भन्ने केसेसहरू धेरै हुन्छ
के फेरि एउटा कुरा के जस्तो एपीआई त दिइरहेछ नि त उनीहरूले देयर आर एपीआई जो हुन्छ सिस्टमको एउटा हुन्छ नि डेटा त दिइरहेछ नि कतिले थर्ड पार्टीलाई मेरो लगानीलाई दिइरहेछ त्यो शेयर संस्थालाई
एपीआई बन्द गरेछ नि अहिले बन्द गरेछ एपीआई
गर्न दिन त दिइरहेछ नि मेरो भने दिन दिइरहेछ हैन अब दिएको अर्थ त्यो कुरालाई त त्यो युटिलाइज गर्ने त हो कसरी युटिलाइज गर्ने भन्ने कुरामा मात्र हो भन्ने कुरा जस्तै अरूले म्यानुअली हानिरहेछ भने म डिजिटलाइज गर्छु नि त भन्ने कुराले मात्र हो त्यो चाहिँ अनि तर फेरि अब कतिपय कुराहरूमा फेरि ऊ आउँछ जस्तै अब यो ह्युमन ट्रेडिङ र धेरै कुराहरू हामी त साइकोलोजीमा नि भर पर्नु जाँदो रहेछ नि त्यो त अब भनेर ट्रेडिङ बिहेभियरदेखि अरू कुराहरू त्यसलाई चाहिँ कसरी गर्छ त्यसलाई कन्सिडर चाहिँ गभर्मेन्टले कसरी गर्छ भने बेग्लै छ तर अहिलेको चाहिँ तपाईँलाई चाहिँ त्यो लिगल वेमा चाहिँ हुन्छ नि पेपरमा चाहिँ लिगल छ कि छैन मात्र सोधे हो
या आई थिंक इट्स नट लिगल अहिले इट्स नट लिगल इभन सर्ट सेल त छैन अहिलेको मार्केटमा अब आउँछ होला आई थिंक डोर विल ओपन सुन है
तर अहिले त फेरि 40% बढाउने सुनेको थियो हो सर्ट सेल्सको के भने उ के अरे सर्ट टर्म ट्रेडिङको क्यापिटल गेन ट्याक्समा चाहिँ 40% है सुनेको थिएँ मैले
हैन 7.5 हो 7.5 हो सर्ट टर्मलाई
40% सुनेको थिएँ कता मलाई हल्का
7.5% हो अहिले बट अहिले लबिङ गरिरहेको छ घटाउनलाई 5 बाट बढाएको हो 7.5 मा है
मैले 40% को हल्ला सुनेको थिएँ त्यसैले म त थोकै थाहा हो त्यसो म रिवाइज गर्छु
नो एट 40 त त्यो त हुँदैन 40% क्यापिटल गेन गर्ने
भन्दा के डे ट्रेडिङ को कुरामा के त्यो 40% रे कुरा त डे ट्रेडिङ
के क्रेडिटले
डे ट्रेडिङ को
okay. So I think we have to be certain about that news. I have no idea about it. Okay. So I think we have come to an end of the class, Pani, Praveen, and all. Right. So next session we'll be discussing about you beta. We'll discuss about beta, and we'll calculate graphs. We'll calculate beta risk of stock. The most important concept of stock market, CAPM model used all around the world. अनि यो जुन फर्मुला हुन्छ we'll discuss next class मा अनि यो अलिअलि के स्टडी पनि छ and then we'll conclude most of the concept of this session and we'll head towards end of risk in return. We'll also be solving question 3-4 वटा question we'll solve practical questions right. So with that everyone, thank you so much for your time and attention. So I hope there are no confusions. Please let me know if you want to ask any question in the next class. So have a nice day, everyone. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.